Hi guys, welcome back to I Speak English. My name's Hayley, and in this video I'm going to be showing you 5 phrasal verbs to use in speaking part 3 of your Cambridge C1 exam. So phrasal verbs are really important to use, especially in your speaking, because they make you sound more natural, more fluent, and examiners are listening for these phrasal verbs while you're speaking. So I'm going to give you kind of 5 general phrasal verbs that you can use in any speaking part 3 task that you get. But before we take a look at those phrasal verbs, do make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell so that you get weekly videos from me. I upload a new video every Saturday, so if you want to learn every week, you can get a notification from me if you're subscribed. So click that subscribe button there and let's get started. Alright, so let's take a look at our 5 phrasal verbs for speaking part 3. So just to remind you, your speaking part 3 for your Cambridge C1 exam is your collaboration task. So you're working with the other student in the exam. You have 5 options to discuss in terms of a question, and you need to kind of come to an agreement over one of those options. It's around 3 minutes long, 3 to 4 minutes. And you need to use phrasal verbs in this part, in every part of your speaking. You need to use phrasal verbs because native speakers use them all the time. They're a very, very common feature of native English. So you have to learn to use these appropriately and in the right context. So I'm going to give you 5 that you can use in any speaking part 3 task. So our first one I'm going to give you is come down to. This is a really useful one. You can use this in writing as well because it's not super informal. It's kind of neutral. So this will work really good in an essay, maybe a letter as well. Come down to is when you kind of, you want to make something the most important thing. It's like the most important aspect of whatever you're talking about. So, for example, you could say something like, I think what it comes down to is how communicative you are with your partner. None of the other options really make that much of a difference to a relationship. Okay, so obviously you've got a question about relationships here. And again, this is when you're like deciding what the most important thing is or the most impactful thing is. So I think what it comes down to, just remember that phrase for your speaking part 3, and you can say that when you're making your decision. Okay, I think what it comes down to is da-da-da. All right, moving on, go for. Again, you can use this when you're making your decision because it's a synonym for choose. Okay, so you could say, if I had to choose, I would go for living abroad or whatever option you're choosing. For me, that would definitely have the most impact on someone's perspective on life. Okay, so to go for is to choose. Again, remember this phrase. This phrase here, first of all, is second conditional. You can get second conditional into your speaking, you'll get a high mark for grammar. And if you can get a phrasal verb in there as well, you'll get a high mark for vocabulary. So remember this phrase. If I had to choose, I would go for X, okay, whatever option you're going for. If you can say that in your exam, you'll get high points for grammar and vocabulary, okay? If you want some extra tips like this, just kind of easy to use vocabulary, grammar, I do have a full speaking video course, Cambridge C1 speaking video course. I'll put the link in the description below this video, and you can check it out and watch a few preview videos. I'll put a discount code in the description so you can get it a bit cheaper. And that should give you some extra tips and kind of improve your speaking mark a little. All right. Right, so moving on to our next phrasal verb, to bring up. This one you should know. This is a B2 level phrasal verb. It means when you introduce a new topic into a conversation. Okay. So this is good for when you're kind of moving to the next option. You can use this. So you could say, okay, so next I'd like to bring up volunteering, or whatever the option is. I reckon that can have a huge impact on your career choices going forward. Okay, so again, when you're switching option, you can use this. I'd like to bring up X, and then give your opinion on that option. Okay. All right, next up is move on. So again, you can use this when you're changing topic or you're changing option. All right, so you can say, okay, moving on to, and whatever the option is. Moving on to having children. For me, this has to be the most impactful thing in a relationship because it completely changes your life. All right, so if you have to move on, so if you have to change topic, just use moving on. Really simple. You can get a phrasal verb in there straight away. All right, and finally, our last phrasal verb is to go along with, which means agree. So remember, in your exam, you need to be agreeing and disagreeing with your partner to get a high interaction mark. So instead of saying, I agree, which nobody really says in English, like native speakers, you'll never hear them go, I agree. It just sounds weird. You can use go along with instead. So if the other person in the exam says, if I had to choose, I'd go for living abroad, and you agree with that, you can say, yeah, I'd go along with that. I think that can have a huge impact on your life. Okay? Yeah, I'd go along with that. I'd agree. But there you go. There's your fifth phrasal verb. Okay? So they're all your phrasal verbs for your speaking. If you need to practice your speaking, if you're struggling with practicing and kind of getting feedback for your speaking, there's a great app you can use. It's called 5 Minute English, and it gives you speaking Cambridge C1 speaking tasks, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 1 as well. And basically you record yourself while you're completing the task, and then the app will correct all of your grammar and vocabulary, so you can see if you're making kind of repetitive errors and things like that. It's really good. I definitely recommend it. So I'll put the link in the description below so you can download it there. It's only available on Google Play. We don't have it for Apple at the moment, unfortunately, but I'll leave it there. If you do have an Android phone, you can download that. If you found this video useful, please do give it a little like. It just helps it to kind of reach more people so that they can get more tips and prepare for their exam as well. And do make sure that you're subscribed and you hit the bell so you get a notification whenever I upload a new video. If you've got any questions about the exam, just leave a question in the comments for me and I'll get back to you when I can. And that's all from me. So I'll see you in another video soon. Yeah, bye.